Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to today's review. Today, we are reviewing something different, something very different. We are reviewing Houshmand Aghili, Volume 5, Persian Music. So, for those of you that don't know what this is, he's an Iranian singer, and this is the album that we listened to, which was available on Spotify. And the album was, I believe, from the 70s, I think. 70,
Yeah, I think 70. I think it was 79, possibly.
yeah, 1979. So some old Iranian music. I was the one that chose this album, so I will go ahead and give my thoughts on it. So I would say, well, first of all, I think it's always important to say, isn't it, that we're dealing with a style of music, a different language that we're not familiar with. So you have to take that into consideration, or at least I do. Um, I think all in all, I can say I didn't really like it as such, but still kind of found it interesting to listen to, certainly aspects of it. I would say I think the biggest thing I found with this album was that I quite liked the music in a way. It felt quite Eastern and quite, I like, like Aladdin, that kind of mysterious kind of Eastern bazaar type. When I say bazaar, I mean like bazaars in market bazaar, not bizarre. Like that kind of
So yeah,
whole kind of thing going on. And I like that side of it, the music side of it. I didn't particularly like the singing though. His voice, his style of singing, and maybe just the songs themselves didn't really appeal to me as such. But yeah, certainly the music side of things, I thought it was quite interesting. Um, but yeah, on the grand scale of things, when we compare it to all types of music, this certainly wouldn't be up there. I'd say average at best, but could have been worse, I suppose. Brett, over to you.
yeah. I really haven't got a lot to say about this album too much. What I will say for its positives, it hasn't put me off Iranian music. I'm willing to give Iranian music another chance. Um, but otherwise, I found it at times a bit repetitive, a bit boring. Like you, though, I did like certain elements, certain sounds. You reference Aladdin. I put think for a couple of songs, Indiana Jones type movies where he goes to like the Middle East sort of areas and has that sort of feel to it. And unlike you, I actually didn't mind his voice. I actually think he's got quite a nice singing voice. It just got a bit boring and there was nothing too much to differentiate between a lot of the songs. But again, that's also because we're not used to the genre. It is an older album as well. And even when we go through the songs, I don't think I've got too much to say, but that's pretty much it really for my sort of introduction.
Okay, so go through the songs we will. So the first one was Father Tell Mia Yi. I'm sure I've said that really well. So, and this song, from the research I done, this was his big hit. This is the kind of song that made him, or whatever. I don't know, but and what I wrote here was, if this is his biggest hit, I worry for the rest of the album. Um, the instrumental's quite nice, but the singing is a letdown, and that's like I said, quite a common theme throughout the album for me. The instrumental part's quite good, but I wasn't so keen on the singing. So I was a little bit disappointed with this song just because I was expecting more because this was his big song, I believe. So didn't really live up to expectations for me on that one.
Yeah, and that's sometimes the trouble where you know sometimes a bit too much beforehand. We didn't go out looking for that. It was sort of obvious for that one there. And funny enough, I because obviously with with the songs in different languages, you know, I try to find different meanings and try and find the titles, what they represent and stuff. But this, I really struggled. I think it's also hard because the Iranian language, and obviously I can't type that sort of stuff, so it didn't quite work. But for this song was the only one I could get translations for. So the title for this one was "Tomorrow You Will Come," and he just talks a lot about drinking wine until the next day, and can't wait for his wife or lover to appear. I quite like the start. I like the instrumentals was quite good. I said his voice was okay. I didn't actually mind his singing, but like you, I thought as soon as I heard this song, I thought I bet this is pretty much what the whole album's probably gonna be like. And if this is his big hit, that's right. But I also kept a little hope just in case actually we might like maybe something that most other people wouldn't like maybe from the album.
Okay. So the second song was Daria. So I noted down, this was no worse than his big hit. It was quite listenable. Again, the music was quite nice and reminded me of music from a kind of typical 1960s film. No, not a film in particular, but just general kind of 1960s music that you might get, you know, like a soundtrack in a film or something like that in the background. I don't know. Yeah, so I think after the second song, I was a bit happier in a way because, like, yeah, wasn't so keen on the first song, the big hit, but the second one was no worse for me.
Yeah, again, I don't think I could say much more than that really. For the same thing, kind of that classic sort of 70s or 60s movies feel to it. I again did find it was a bit repetitive, even though it was only like a 4 minute song. I think that was the trouble, even though some of these songs were about the sort of 4 minute mark, some a bit longer actually. Even the short ones there still felt repetitive, in my opinion, so which made it quite tough there. But again, voice seemed all right. The translation, the closest I could get for this, and I said I don't think of anything else for any other songs here. There may be an oak tree, which is meant to represent wisdom. So it could be an oak tree, it could be wisdom, but that's what that particular song title was about there, really.
Okay. The next song was called Caste. So for me, this was had a very sort of sound from the East, Aladdin-like. I like that. I like that kind of mysterious, kind of Eastern kind of feel that was going on there. Again, I didn't like the song itself, so that included like the singing part, you know. I thought the first part of the song was best before the singing began. So kind of the singing for me kind of ruined it a bit. Well, usually I'm the other way around. I usually prefer like, you know, the songs, the singing part themselves, whereas I'm not always so keen on the actual kind of the music behind it. But I think with this particular album, yeah, it was the music that I liked more than the actual singing itself.
Yeah. So this is where I wrote about the film Indiana Jones. Again, got that same sort of thing you did there. The title could be a Persian phrase translated to not to be tired. What that's meant to mean, I'm not sure. So it's kind of good that you don't like to sing because obviously what I hear, these sort of starts, you get 2 minutes before the actual singing starts. So almost like half an average song you get just instrumental, which again, I think was probably the best bit with that. And then just the remaining 2 minutes, again, just very repetitive for me. And yeah, just a little bit boring.
All right. Then we had Saya. So I put down here, if I didn't know this was Iranian, I would have said it was Turkish because
okay.
I do, not say I'm not overly familiar with Turkish music, but I do know Turkish music a little bit, and it kind of had that kind of feel to it. And obviously it's different language, but even that sounded quite similar to me. I thought the singing was a bit better in this one. Just a pretty average song. Nothing much to say about it, really.
Yeah, again, haven't got a lot to say. The highlight probably, it may have been my favourite so far. It did have something a little bit different to it, a little bit more dancing into it, and that's all I really got for that particular song.
Okay. Then we had Kubu Bad. So I wrote down it sounds old at the start, and in brackets, which it is. It is old. I'm presuming this is from 70s. I don't know. Quite nice music, I thought, again, which is a regular common theme. Again, didn't really enjoy the singing though.
So here I thought it was a different guy who was actually singing than we originally had. The music was actually the best bit, and yeah, I don't remember. So this was the song where I don't know what the term is. The closest I'd probably say for you, mate, to it is like yodeling. He was sort of like it almost sounded like it was a horse. It was just where he was doing this weird uh, thing with his voice, which was just again just a little bit open. And again, the whole repetitive thing because it constantly seemed to be doing that. It's almost like it was a same segment of the song. Again, it makes it difficult because we don't recognise the language, so it probably is different. But it just felt like the same segment just being repeated over
Okay,
and then
but
over again.
just to interrupt, but the yodeling bit, I didn't note this down. I think this was the first time we heard it, and it came back in a song later on where it's like really, really a lot. So I think this was the first time we heard that yodeling bit from him. I seem to remember. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So maybe one thing where it does it a lot was probably that one, but he does do it, I think, a few times in that song as well. But I think it's definitely more memorable in the song later on.
Yeah. Okay. So then we had Shabahang Vazade Malier. I just put rather uneventful, not much to say. Just, yeah, really nothing happened for me in that one.
No. Again, a really long sort of instrumental beginning. Again, it's about 2 minutes before the singing happens. All I've put down is very similar to track 3, which is the one we said about Indiana Jones and Aladdin. I think that's what we could say on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we had A Kalege Alam. This is, I think, the longest song on the album. So we had a piano, sounded to me like a piano start at the beginning, which was nice. And then we had this interesting singing bit that you've just mentioned there in one of those previous songs. So yeah, that kind of, I put that echo is like that yodeling sound, which I have noticed in a previous song, which was the one that you just mentioned. But except this time it was really, prevalent, doing it a lot. I kind of put down an Iranian ballad. I quite like the voice thing that he was doing, that yodeling thing that he was doing in a way. And then the song suddenly took off and livened up. And yeah, it was a very long song and just, yeah, quite unusual, interesting. Just an intriguing kind of song, I would say.
Yeah. So obviously, we pretty much saying a lot of songs are the same. This is what we may refer to in most cases the experimental song, maybe the song that's
Yeah.
a little bit different. But like you, like the piano bit, that's what I wrote. It's going to be the experimental stuff there. I got quite a religious feel to listening to this song. It had, I don't know, felt like something that could be sung at holy events or something. I don't know, I just had that sort of feeling to it. And yes, we had. we're going to call it the horse yodeling, I guess. But yeah, this one was really repetitive with it. And I said I didn't mind it, but like I said after the 5th, 6th, 7th time, it was just a bit past this now. And then yeah, it's like after 5 minutes, almost turned to a whole different different song, which wasn't bad really. So it could be the pick from the album, but it probably doesn't really say a lot.
Okay. Then we had Bia. I thought this was quite a nice song actually, with like nice orchestra type music. I'd probably say this is the best song. Again, doesn't say that much to be honest, but yeah, because I quite like this one.
I mean, the only notice probably is quite similar to some of the other songs. Same thing, quite nice with the instrumental bits. Okay voice, but just could be the same as most of some of the other tracks as well. The only translation I could get for this was Bim being beer in Vietnamese.
Huh?
So whether the title being beer in Vietnamese.
Oh.
But whether that's
Right.
the same or.
And the last song was called Donna Kebab. Oh no, sorry. Donye Kab. Okay. A bit boring. Music was okay again, like usual, but the singing wasn't so good. Just same as most of the other songs. Not really much to differentiate between between the other songs there. And yeah, that was kind of how maybe that last song kind of just summed up the album really. Just a bit boring, nice enough music, but singing didn't really do it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly sort of what I wrote for that final track there. It's kind of been the same. This track probably sums up how I feel about this album. Obviously, bar that maybe one track. Again, just sort of got bored, really. But unlike you, I did find his voice quite soothing. I didn't mind his voice so much, but it wasn't enough to change how I felt about the album or make it any better. It was just part of the album.
Okay. So yeah, I think if we're going to sum up, I think the last songs we just said does sum it up for us. You know, just for me anyway, that I wasn't so keen on the singing, unlike you, but I did like the music. I really did in a way. Not just found it quite sort of takes you. Don't know how can I explain it. Kind of, it's quite nice music. Takes you away to another place. You can imagine yourself being there, and I don't know, like in the Middle East somewhere, and I quite like that aspect of it. But there just wasn't enough overall in the songs and overall in the album for me to say that I liked it. It was average at best for me. Sorry, Brett, I think you just froze there. Did you hear what I said? Sorry.
Computer now just frozen. Can you hear me now again?
Can now, yeah.
Okay. I was just saying, Scream, what you're saying. I think how you probably feel about it is almost like the album is quite pure, really. It's just quite simple. It's no gimmicks. It's just classical, simple music sung over it. No special effects. Just is what it is. And it's nice about it where you can sit and just listen to that and see why a lot of people would listen to that because and nothing too different really.
Okay, so yeah, that concludes our album review of Houshmand Aghili, Volume 5, Persian Music. So thank you for watching. Join us again on Wednesday for the next album choice, which Brett will be making. So we'll see you guys then. Goodbye.